Wednesday, a mixed review. Thursday, our first Unit 2 quiz, covering topics 2.1 to 2.3. And we'll wrap up our week with congruent figures on Friday. Next week, we'll begin Monday and Tuesday with dilations. Wednesday, similar figures. Thursday, perimeters and the area of similar figures. Friday, we'll wrap up the week with a mixed review. Rotations day 1. Make sure that you pause the video and copy these notes into your notebook. So a rotation. Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you pause the video and copy this into your notebooks. A rotation or turn is a transformation in which a figure is rotated about a point. When we look at rotations, their rotations occur in two different directions. We have counterclockwise rotations, which are rotations left, X and Y axis. And this you don't need to copy. This is just to give you a brief orientation. So when we look at CCW or counterclockwise rotations, these are rotations that occur to the left. When we look at clockwise rotations, these are rotations that occur to the right, the same direction the hands move on a clock. So clockwise, the rotations move right. Counterclockwise, rotations move left. Angle of rotation. When we're looking at angle of rotation, we're talking about the number of degrees a figure rotates. So if it moves 90 degrees, we're moving one quadrant away. If we're moving 180 degrees, we're moving 2 quadrants away. 270 degrees, we're moving 3 quadrants away. So these are super important when we're looking at rotations of figures. The rule, and this is important as well, and this needs to be copied into your notes. The rules for clockwise rotations and counterclockwise rotations. So when we look at the rotation of an image or pre-image, remember pre-images use A, B, C, D, or any regular letter. From the pre-image to an image, we use prime letters to designate a rotation or a transformation has occurred. So for here, there are two types of transformations that are occurring, and they occur simultaneously. So if we're looking at clockwise rotations move the pre-image this direction, clockwise, and then we have counterclockwise rotations, which move images left. So if we're looking at a counterclockwise rotation, the rules for counterclockwise, 90 degrees, which is 1 quadrant away, is the same as a clockwise rotation 3 quadrants away. So counterclockwise, we've moved from quadrant 1 to quadrant 2. Counterclockwise, we've moved from quadrant 1 the opposite direction to quadrant 2. This is a counterclockwise 90-degree rotation and a clockwise rotation of 270 degrees. And so we'll follow and map A, and the rule is the same. So if we're moving image A in a rotation of 270 degrees clockwise, A starts at 2, 4, and the rule says X and Y for A prime, they switch locations. So 2, 4 becomes 4, 2. And then my original Y value becomes the opposite. And we know this has to be true because if we look at quadrant 1 to quadrant 2 coordinates, quadrant 1 coordinates, and let me change the color to black. Quadrant 1 coordinates are positive. If I'm moving from quadrant 1 to quadrant 2, my coordinates have to be negative positive. -4, +2. I'm in quadrant 2, my values work. If we look at the same rotation, a rotation of 90 degrees counterclockwise, we're moving one quadrant away. 2, 4 is in quadrant 1. I'm moving from quadrant 1 to quadrant 2. I know that A prime, my X and Y coordinates switch. 4, 2. What are the coordinates in quadrant 2? Negative, positive. So my 4 has to be negative. This is how we rotate images with their appropriate coordinate. So for 180-degree rotation, 180-degree rotation does not matter if it's clockwise or counterclockwise. The image ends up in the exact same spot. 2 quadrants away. 2 quadrants away. So 180-degree rotation, 2 quadrants. Every time. So in this instance, you will never see 180-degree rotation listed as clockwise or counterclockwise. It is simply 180-degree rotation. When we rotate 180 degrees, our coordinates simply become the opposite. So if I start in quadrant 1 and I go to quadrant 2, A, and if we map, in this instance, coordinate B, let me rewrite it, excuse me. So B to B prime, I start with B as 2, 1. I'm in quadrant 1. I'm going from quadrant 1 to quadrant 3. Quadrant 1 values are positive. Quadrant 3 values are negative. So -2, -1. Again, when we're looking at 270 and 90, the same holds true. If I'm going counterclockwise 270, 270 degrees counterclockwise is the same as a 90-degree rotation clockwise. 90 degrees clockwise. If I'm moving one quadrant away and I'm going clockwise, here we'll look at C to C prime. And without looking at any coordinates, if I'm moving from quadrant 1, 90 degrees clockwise, I'm going one quadrant away from quadrant 1 to quadrant 4. 90 degrees clockwise, I'm going right one quadrant away. Quadrant 1 points are positive, positive. Quadrant 4 points are positive, negative. C is 6, 1. Again, in this instance, I want to switch 1 and 6. So my new coordinate will be 1, 6. Quadrant 4, I know that 6 has to be negative. C to C prime, 1, -6. C is 6, -1. And so as we look at the image after we rotate our pre-image, each of our rules apply. Pre-image in each of our rotations. 90 degrees counterclockwise, again, is the same as 270 clockwise. Opposite, when we look at 270 counterclockwise, is the same as 90 degrees clockwise. Remember that 180 degrees is the same, be it clockwise or counterclockwise. So we simply refer to 180-degree rotation as a 180-degree rotation. Today's Get Started. Make sure that it is completed. Homework 2.3a is due tomorrow. And we'll have tutoring tomorrow from 2:30 to 3:30.